Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Breakthrough Blueprint, where we talk to entrepreneurs about how they became successful today. And I have with me my amazing friend, Roxana, and I'll hand it over to her to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Roxana, founder of Elisa, a child nutrition company, and also COO of Mexico Tech Week. So I'm running somewhere between ecosystem builder and founder at the same time. I'm originally from Romania, studied law, and went into the human rights route, and eventually just kind of like discovered that the craziness and the chaos of the startup ecosystem is where I thrive most. That's why I'm here today.
Wow, that is amazing. And so, can you tell me about how you grew up and how you ended up in Mexico?
I mean, I grew up in a very small village in the middle of nowhere, Romania, and just read lots of Jane Austen books as a kid because there was nothing else to do in the village. So I dreamt of going to England for a very long time. And I worked really hard and ended up at Cambridge studying law there. Funny enough, I actually applied to Cambridge when I was in high school and I couldn't even speak English. They gave me an interview. I went to Cambridge for my interview and I couldn't put two words together to like make a sentence to answer their questions. Obviously, they said no. So I took a gap year, studied English in my gap year. Like I worked as an au pair, applied again, and then the magic happened and I managed to get in. But from there, I studied law, which to me sounded like I was just going to be a lawyer forever. And I discovered very quickly that that was the last thing I wanted to do. Uh, Basically, from England after graduation, I just ran away to China because I just thought China was like the next superpower. And I just wanted to be part of that and eventually ended up working in human rights for the EU delegation to China. And it was just not where I was thriving. It just sounds like everyone's dream job. You can really make an impact at a huge scale. But that kind of like bureaucracy and institutional organization, while I respect it a lot, it really didn't fit with like my style, which is doing 15,000 things at the same time. So I ended up in Mexico working for an ed tech company. And, there was pure chaos, zero structure, exactly what I thrive in. And that's how my tech slash entrepreneurial journey started. Yeah, the rest is history.
Wow, that is super cool and a very inspiring story. I love to hear
A
that.
bit all over the place, but yeah.
So, then how did you get involved in doing Mexico City Tech Week now?
So actually, when from the tech startup, I ended up starting a different company, a child nutrition company, which was interesting because I knew nothing about child nutrition. I feel like I'm the kind of person who just thrives in kind of diving deep into a system or an ecosystem where she knows nothing about and just kind of like figuring it out. And particularly with child nutrition, it was a space where, multinational corporations just have a huge monopoly and they add whatever ingredients they want. So we wanted to disrupt that, pioneer the fresh and healthy category completely, which in the US is a huge thing. Like, I mean, that exists everywhere else apart from LATAM. And we did it, but at the same time, as a female founder, I had a male co-founder. I felt quite lonely. So I kept like getting involved with female organizations that would support other female founders. So I ended up like mentoring, I ended up working with them. But then I realized change doesn't really happen in silos. So if I wanted to help female founders, I wanted to do it at a systemic level. And that's how I ended up with Mexico Tech Week, because when you talk about Tech Week, it's the entire ecosystem. It's not female, male, or anything in between. It's everyone. And yeah, that was originally the reason why I wanted to join it. And then it was incredible because you see a huge change from a year to the next. I mean, last year we had over 42% of female participation in Tech Week, which is double of the global level in general. Yeah, I feel change is already happening just by being here.
That is amazing. And so, how many years have you been running that now?
Just a year and a half, and like yeah, we're just about to run our fourth edition now in October, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool because although I didn't get to go to any of the official events, I saw that there's tons of events and it was very well organized and there's merch and social media and a house that people can go to. And it was really interesting to see. I have only started to learn a little bit about the tech scene in Mexico and Latam as a whole, but it seems like it's growing a lot. It seems like American VCs are coming there to invest in companies. Can you speak a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so I mean, there are a few things that we're trying to build through Tech Week, and one of them is exactly that, showing that a lot of people think of Mexico as the place for nearshoring and for cheap manufacturing, and there's so much more than that. We have like very talented entrepreneurs, and we have like several unicorns already that have been built out of Mexico. So we're trying to showcase that, in particular, like the level of innovation and technology that does happen within Mexico, and obviously pushing that forward by inviting like external investors to come in and invest in Mexico, because I mean, at the end of the day, you do need capital in order to build this. So it's one of the things we're trying to do. And at the same time, the ecosystem is relatively small. I mean, everywhere, everyone just kind of like knows everyone. But through Tech Week, we're also trying to democratize access to technology, because we have a large portion of the population that is a bit afraid of technology, let's say. So we have huge companies like, Meta, like Canva, OpenAI, like did a huge AI class for people from the little markets that have never used AI, and they hear the word AI and they say, that's not for me. I don't even know what that is. So it was just incredible to have several thousand people, for example, being taught on what AI is and how they can use it literally just by having their phones. And we're trying to continue doing that at a much larger scale in the next years as well.
That's incredible. And so from after this most recent tech week, did you hear stories about like connections being made and people finding investors?
Actually, on Saturday, I went to a hackathon and I just met somebody who was like, "Hey, so great to meet you. I just wanted to like say thank you because I actually met my co-founder in Tech Week." They
Oh,
launched their startup a couple of months ago and they're like so happy. It's going really well already. And they were just like, "Yeah, we're very excited because we want to fundraise at the next edition of Tech Week." And, I've heard so many stories like that. And it's just so beautiful because, particularly in the tech era and the AI era, human connection is so important. And events like these are just like the catalyst for so much change. And particularly in Tech Week, what we're trying to do, it's like a week of open doors. So any VC, any corporation, any startup, everyone has the doors open so everyone else can interact and engage and get to know them. And a lot of magic happens through that. I think a lot more than even I know. I hear stories from like various individuals, but systematically, I feel like there's a lot of things happening that we don't even know. But yeah, I do think it helps a lot.
yeah, I love that. That's so awesome. And yeah, I think people are just really hungry for in-person connection and events and, whether it's for professional or getting off of dating apps, like now like for me, I think events and conferences have been the best source of inspiration, knowledge, finding business partners and investors and things. And so I'm really excited to do that more and probably even host my own events this year. But that's really cool that
Love that. You have to. Yes, you're doing it.
maybe we can collaborate on something before you
100%.
leave.
100%. It's happening.
But wow, that's so cool. So you also have the nutrition company you're still running that?
Yes and no. We are actually in the middle of a transition because, um, particularly when you pioneer a category, in our case, it was, fresh baby food in Mexican supermarkets. There
Mhm.
weren't even plugs in the baby food section for us to install our fridges. Like we would literally have to kind of like bring cables down from the ceiling and that would take months. So it's just a level of complexity that, for a food tech startup, it's kind of like hard to do at a large scale. So we're very excited that we're actually in the process of acquisition by a large company from Mexico that will be taking it to the next level. They are already in all the big supermarkets in Mexico. They
Mhm.
have incredible distribution. It's just like every entrepreneur's dream of seeing like their baby just kind of like go off and like grow a lot. And yeah, that's what's happening right now.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Excited.
Wow, so you pioneered a whole new category and you paved the way, like and then you got the attention of a big company, like, how did that conversation start?
It was interestingly enough through our logistics supplier, because it was, they had seen us, deliver for years. We have been working together for like 3, 4 years at this point. And they were just like, I know somebody who really wants to enter this category. Can you just have a meeting with them? I know it's kind of like conflict of interest, but see where this conversation can go. And then we had our first chat and they were like, we're super interested. Like, we want to know more. And then I met with the entire team, like the entire C suite and then the board. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, how about we just do this together? So yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
My gosh, that is so awesome because, like, you're right. Like in the US, there's tons of health food brands, and that's grown a lot over, I don't know, the last 10 to 20 years. Especially Austin is kind of like the CPG capital. So here, especially, you see so many new, you know, creatine supplements or chips that are made only with almond flour, and that's always been a huge thing. But whenever I travel to Latin America, like I've spent a lot of time in Colombia and Mexico City, like I've seen like certain health food stores or shops where you can buy things like kombucha, but there does seem like a huge opportunity for any sort of like healthier product out there. So that's great that this is like probably going to kick off a huge movement that is only going to continue to grow because there are very health minded people there.
100%. And like for us in our case, so many of our investors were like, how are you going to compete with the traditional mindset that, X brand should be used because your mom used it and your grandma used it. We're just like, we don't have to compete with that because we're at the cusp of a complete transformation because of the internet. Moms
Yes.
right now, in our case, just follow a lot of nutritionists and a lot of pediatricians on social media who tell them, hey, don't do this. Don't give this to your child. So it's not my job anymore to like educate every single individual mother in Mexico. My job has been made a lot easier. So through that, and now by having products out there and the distribution out there, I feel like it's a match made in heaven and it's gonna, yeah, like you said, hopefully will kickstart a revolution.
That's amazing. And because like, there have obviously been so many more like gringos and foreigners coming to Mexico, especially Mexico City over the last few years. And that has had its own issues. But I think a benefit to that is there's a huge and growing market of people who will also want to buy these products because you can get them in the US, but if you can't get them here, but then you see a great like protein powder or protein shake or whatever, then it's like there's going to be a lot of buyers, I think.
No, 100%. And I feel like, I mean, I already know it. So I used to like talk to individuals. Yeah, as a good entrepreneur, as a good founder, you always try to like see if people
Mm,
are happy. And then you see your client's name and you're like, this person is not Mexican. And then you just kind of like get in touch and like people like super happy. And actually,
mm,
I got this feedback several times that people would say, hey, this is better than like what we have in the States. Like the taste is so much more fresh. And it's true. Like the quality of the fruits and vegetables in Mexico is just incredible. And the fact that we were able to use that and have ingredients that you wouldn't even have in the States because it's just so tropical and just so local has been quite amazing. And then, like the child nutrition space is growing a lot. I mean, the biggest, it's like from day one, Once Upon a Farm, who are like the pioneers in the fresh and healthy baby food category, just IPO'd last week. And then we were just so excited and so happy. And we were just gonna like see like this is happening. The revolution is already happening. We just need to kind of like make sure it's also happening in Mexico and in Latin America, not just the US.
mhm, mhm. That's great. Yeah, I love that so much. That's so cool that you have, like,
Yeah.
pioneered this whole new category and, like well, it seems like just from, seeing your Instagram, you're a trailblazer, you're an adventurer, like, you love doing these, like, very intense hiking trips. Can you talk about that?
I mean, look, I actually started mountaineering because I just needed a place where people couldn't contact me. It was just like I was just happy 24/7 and it was overwhelming. So it was like a weekend of like, hey, you can get in touch, but I will never get your message. So good luck to you. And eventually I found myself in the mountains because, I feel like being an entrepreneur and being a mountaineer have a lot in common. There's a lot of resilience and there's a lot of pain. There's the glamour of the shot at the top of the mountain at the
Mhm,
summit. But that's literally a second. Like the whole process and the entire journey is what really matters. And for me, it's just been like such a beautiful journey to be able to grow. I don't know what makes me more resilient, being an entrepreneur, being a mountaineer. I don't know if I can just deal with everything because of, I know I can climb a mountain in pain for like 10 hours or the other way around. But yeah, it's just become more and more important to me. And I'm at this point where it's taken over my life to a certain extent. So I love what I do. I love my company. I love Tech Week. I love building the ecosystem. But I'm actually working on a new project right now, which is very personal because in my entire career, I feel like, I find systems that don't work, that like have something wrong with them. And like, that's my most fun challenge. I try to figure out like what's wrong with it and how can I fix it. And then I do that. And then I just kind of like move on. I did it for ed tech. I did it in food tech. I'm doing it now with like Tech Week, which is like the entire tech ecosystem here in Mexico. But I finally want to do a project that's my own. And basically, as of next year, I will be taking a sabbatical and will be climbing the 7 summits, which are the tallest summit on each continent, and write a book about it. Because the truth is, my dream has always been to be a writer. And I kind of let it go because, life gets in the way. As kids, we always say, oh, I would love to do this. And then, you get a job and then life happens and then you don't do any of it. And I think this year, at the beginning of this year, I was actually in Ecuador in a mountain expedition. And I said, what is it that you really want? And then this thing just came to me and I was like, I want mountains and I want to go back to writing. And all of a sudden I was like, yes, this is it. We're doing it. So I just started the year deciding that that break is finally necessary. So I'm excited to be doing it too.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. This is super inspiring. I'm so glad we're able to do this because like first of all, I'm trying to get more women on my podcast. And second of all, like I've never talked to anyone who's doing what you've done or who's, in the past or who in the future this climbing the mountains and writing a book. Like that's incredible. So are you also going to like be making content about this and you like your journey?
Yeah, I really want to. The truth is, it's so like I said before, right? It's not about like reaching each summit.
Mhm.
It's the process and the journey and that's the most important thing. And you know what? Will I climb all the mountains? Will I manage to summit all of them? I don't know. Because it's not just about my training. It's not about like how fit I am. Sometimes it's the weather. Sometimes you have an avalanche. Sometimes you fall in a fucking crevasse. There's so many things that can happen that could go wrong. But the process and the journey will continue. And that's the most beautiful thing. And I would love to like make content and like share it with everyone else.
I'm so excited to see this. Maybe it'll inspire me to do a big climb because I've never done
Yes.
anything like I think it's cool seeing what you're doing, and I know it's, like, hard work and it's not easy, but it looks
You done
awesome.
any climbing?
Nothing that intense. I mean, I've done hiking,
Okay.
but nothing where you're, like, using an ice pick and all of that.
I feel like this is it. I feel this is our journey. We're gonna start with a Tech Week event, and then we're gonna go on a climb, and it's gonna be epic. Get
Hey, if
ready.
I do with anyone, it's gonna be with you because 'cause you're an expert.
We're gonna have like proper mountain guides too. Don't just rely on me.
Wow. So where are you gonna start? What's the first mountain?
Actually, I've already done the first mountain last year. I did Aconcagua, which was the tallest mountain in South America, which is the tallest in the world outside of the Himalayas. So I'm like off to a good start. Actually, now in May, I'm taking a little holiday to go to Russia and climb Elbrus, which is the tallest one in Europe. And then from December onwards is going to be Vincent in Antarctica, which I'm super excited about because spending weeks in Antarctica just sounds epic.
So for these climbs, like, do you go with a group or
Always. I mean, for Aconcagua, for example, I trained with a group. I went with a group. Unfortunately, we couldn't summit together because of bad weather. So my entire team left and I ended up, staying behind a few days and summiting by myself eventually, which was kind of crazy. In general, I wouldn't do that. I am like safety first kind of gal. And yes, I would go with agencies, like with proper groups that just like specialize in these mountains and they know them very well.
oh my gosh, so what does training look like? Like, do you also work out in the gym or
Yeah, a lot. So basically, I work out every day, once or twice a day, and then a lot of strength training, cardio, and then I think the best training for the mountains is being in the mountains. So the
Mhm.
moment like I get closer to an expedition, literally every weekend has to be on a mountain. Right now, since Elbrus is in May, I'm taking a bit of a break. But starting March, I'm just gonna be like fully on in the mountains.
That's great. I mean, you live in Mexico City, which is already high elevation, but do you work out with a personal trainer or on your own?
I mean, like by now, I know. So I have read a lot of books on like training for alpinism, and I know what works, what doesn't. I can always be better. I feel, like so in May to July 2027, I will be doing Everest and Denali, which are like two of the toughest mountains to do. So I feel like that's going to be my peak shape ever. But meanwhile, I kind of adjust because I can't work at 100% capacity 100% of the time. Like the risk of injury in that case is just too high. So as long as I just keep training consistent and like my fitness level is constant, I can just like up it up when I need to. And yeah, but for now it's stable.
Cool. So what does your recovery look like after you do a big climb?
God, eat a lot. So the thing is with my climbs, it's there's a lot of altitude in which your body basically starts eating itself. Like for an expedition, I lose, 5 to 10 pounds easily just by breathing. You just don't even have to do much. You just eat a lot, but still your body just can't, just keeps losing weight. And after that is just a lot of nutrition, just making sure like you recover completely. And then I do a lot of massages, a lot of deep tissue stuff, sauna, ice baths, like contrast therapy. I do like pressotherapy, a bit of everything. I do like to treat myself. So it's not just about like work hard. There's always the like enjoy the hard part.
Love that. Wow,
Yeah.
that is so awesome. That's super cool. Well, we'll have to stay in touch and maybe I will end up going on some sort of hike or climb with you this year.
I love that so much.
Amazing. So you said that the next tech week you're planning for is October. Are you already in that process?
Oh, 100%. We're actually, it's going to be epic. You can't miss that one. Like, it's just going to be too good. We're taking it to the next level. I feel like last year's edition was by far our best and our biggest. It's not always about the biggest is the best, but, we want to reach as many people as possible from within the ecosystem, from like the global ecosystem, and also people who are not part of it at all. And also, like, exactly like you mentioned, there was a house, there was the tech house, and we are taking it to the next level this year, have a tech town instead of just one house. And then I can't tell you more just yet because we're like, keeping a few things a secret, but it's just going to be next level. We are turning Mexico Tech Week into one of the top global events in tech, and I couldn't be more excited.
Gosh, okay, I'll definitely go. I'll probably host an event too. Definitely want to
You will.
support.
I'll make sure of that.
That's super exciting. That's very inspirational. I'm very excited for that. And it's like cool to see. Obviously, you're really working hard in so many areas of your life. Like, what drives you to work that hard?
Interesting. I have this constant FOMO that my life is so, I mean, our life is so short, like our time here is so short, and I can do so much. And I feel like so privileged to be in the place where I am right now, where I have an amount of responsibility and of power that I would just feel completely, I don't know how to tell you, but if I didn't use it to generate as much impact as possible, like I feel like I didn't deserve it. So I keep striving to just impact more and more people and inspire and also help in any ways possible. And that's, constantly what drives me. At the same time, it's what constantly makes me very tired. I operate from like I'm like the Duracell bunny, right? I just kind of like go at 100% speed, and all of a sudden I just have to recharge because I'm at zero. So that balance has been tricky to find, and I'm still like working on it. But yeah, I'm just really happy and proud of what I do, and I wouldn't have it otherwise.
Love that. I'm proud of you too. I mean, so glad you're and grateful that you were able to talk to me today on my podcast. So thank you.
That's my life. Thank you for having me, and thank you for thinking of me.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do another one, like either before Tech Week to promote that, and definitely after you've done all these climbs, and when you're writing the book or publish the book, we'll have to do it again. So thank you.
Of course, I'll be here anytime you need me.
Amazing. Thank you. And for everyone else, please tune in to the next episode of the Breakthrough Blueprint.